Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode number 181 of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, we are going to be talking about things that you should do when you have a slowdown in your practice. And seasonally, slowdowns happen. And everybody's got a slow season. And I think some practices, it's the wintertime, some practices, it's the summertime. We're going into winter right now when this is being recorded. So I think that there's a lot of practices I've seen in different groups posting, hey, we're seeing a slowdown. What should we do? So we're going to be covering that, and I'm going to give you 5 practical tips that you can use right now when you're seeing a slowdown. I think this is going to be very helpful for you. Before we begin, I want to mention a few things. First, if you haven't done so already, head on over to the Facebook group, the Veterinary Marketing Nerds. That's the best place to get help for things. If you have any questions, comments, you need help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out, and that's definitely a good place to do that. So let's talk about slow seasons and what you should do. So I think there's 5 things. I'm just going to cover them really quickly here, and then we're going to dive deeper into each one. But the first one is running ads. The second is building marketing systems. The third is training staff and improving staff skills. And I'll give you a caveat there, I've never worked in a practice, but I have done tons of phone sales, and I'll tell you what I mean by that when we go over that. Then number 4 is stockpile content. And then number 5 is brainstorm like crazy. So let's jump into this. First thing that you want to do, in my opinion, if you have something that's going slow, the best way to get new clients is running ads. And I can't tell you how many times I hear this happening, where practices are like, hey, we're seeing a slowdown. We want to pause ads because things are slower right now. And especially, it drives me crazy when people see, when we're doing awesome work with ads and we see that, hey, we have these great search terms that are getting traffic. It's the right kinds of people. It's the right kinds of traffic, right search phrases, but still there's that mentality of, oh, it's slowed down, so we need to stop our ads. If your ads are generating the right kinds of people and the right kinds of clients, if you stop those ads, it's going to get even slower. So you want to make sure that you're not chopping yourself off at the knees and stunting your growth. And it's important that you continue to run ads. And I think that's why running ads is important even when it's a good season, because you need to make sure that if things do slow down, then you have a way to kind of turn on that lever to drive more clients in. So make sure when you're running ads, number 1, that you are getting the right kind of clients coming in from it. You're getting the right kind of traffic. You're targeting the right demographics, that it's in the right locations at the right times of day. If you're able to do that, where you have the right kinds of people coming into your practice, you're going to be a lot better off. And when I say coming into practice, I meant your practice website. But if you're targeting people that are searching for vet near me phrases, for example, on Google AdWords, and they're searching for veterinarian in my town, or vet that's open now, or these different phrases that are high quality transactional search terms. I'm not talking about like what's it cost to own a dog, or free shelter space, or things like that. I think that as long as it's quality and you're looking at the search term reports and you're saying, yep, these search terms look great, then that's kind of what you want to be doing and running. So the other thing that I think is valuable to consider is probably if you are doing Facebook and Instagram and other things like that, running new client specials or seasonal specials or holiday specials, something that will drive new traffic in will always be helpful. And having the ability to turn on and off ads is just extremely powerful. So if it is a good season for you and you've never run ads before, try it and start and figure it out. Because when things slow down, and if the economy switches or starts shifting or starts doing a slowdown, then you're going to want to be able to turn on that faucet and get the clients rolling in for sure. So one thing that I think is kind of beneficial about having a slowdown is that if you do have a slowdown, you have extra time. And typically that's something that people in practice don't have. And if your staff has time, then let's get them to work doing things. And that leads me to number 2 is building marketing systems. So if we're talking about writing copy, developing tools and resources and digital assets that you can use to drive new clients in, or that's going to help to make your life a lot easier. I'll tell you a story personally that I had a slowdown back in January of last year, where I had a bunch of corporate clients that I was doing digital marketing for, and then arbitrarily the corporate person that was in charge of budgeting said, hey, we don't have budget this year, so we're going to cut this out. We're going to stop doing our digital ads. And so I had a pretty big slowdown for my digital services business. And so I took that time and I started building out everything that I've kind of identified as difficulty and things that I would manually do. What could I systematize so that when I decided to turn on ads and when I decided to start taking on new clients, what are the kinds of things that would help me to really save time and become a lot more efficient? So I'll give you some examples of things that I did, and you can kind of think about this for your own business. So one thing that I have that is really a pain in the butt is scheduling time with people who need to talk to me, whether it's clients or potential clients, right? And so I went through and I set up Calendly so that it would sync to my calendar, and I could set up rules. It would send out automated reminders, and it would also automatically send out a Zoom meeting link. And I can't tell you how many, probably hundreds of hours this has saved me. And so if you're thinking in terms of your practice, what are things that you could do that are digital assets that would help you to build out content, that would help you to reduce the work that you're doing? So for example, let's say you had specifically, let's say after a client came in for a spay or neuter, they always ask the same questions and they call and they follow up. What if you built a follow-up sequence that was for, home care stuff, and it built out additional content for you too, that you could direct people to, and you could automatically send them an email that had home care instructions, and here's when you need to consider coming back in, or whatever it is that would help you to not only appear to be more on the ball, it would save you time, it would save you energy, and then your clients would feel like they're getting better customized care. On top of that, things that are marketing systems are things like email follow-up funnels, newsletter templates, graphic templates, anything that you can template as much as possible. So if you have like Canva templates that you want to import into Canva and have everything ready to go so that when you have an image, you can brand it easily and it looks on brand and on point. And I think that is really, really helpful. So any kind of graphics, any kind of video templates that you can build out, and then anything that you build in terms of this is an automated email follow-up sequence that goes out to people if they don't accept our dental proposal, or things like that. That's very, very helpful. And then once you have it built, anytime you start driving new clients in, it's just going to magnify their value because you're going to be able to retain more, get more people coming in. So as much as it stinks to have slow time, it's kind of nice because you're able to build out the things that you've been putting off. So I can tell you, it's been a game changer for me personally when I had all of that stuff built. And I said, you know what, before I decide I'm going to get busy again, I'm going to do all this stuff that is just wasting my time, eating up my time, and being difficult. So that was something that was really, really helpful. The third thing, which is next, is training staff and making sure that they are equipped to do the job. So phone sales are an important skill to have, and most people who probably are applying for a job at a veterinary practice don't think that they need to be in sales. They're there to help pets. But the truth is they cannot help if they're not able to convert that phone caller into a potential client. So really developing scripts and developing language, practicing those scripts is very, very helpful. I've never worked in a veterinary practice, but I have sold things on the phone. I've sold tons and tons of loans on the phone and done telemarketing in my past careers in life. And you learn that if you follow a script, it's pretty interesting. People, for the most part, will say the exact same thing, calling and having questions. One thing that we did, and I know this is not related to veterinary specific, but I sold refinances for VA loans, and it was amazing. If I preemptively steered the conversation because I knew exactly what they were going to ask, why they were going to ask it, and if somebody would call and just say, hey, what's your interest rate? I need to know what the prices are right now. If I said, well, I can't tell you that over the phone because I didn't know what their credit score was, what their loan to value was, all of these things. If I said it like that, I can't tell you over the phone. They would say, never mind, and then they would hang up. My guess is in practice, you probably have people who are calling and saying, hey, what is the cost for this thing? And so if you have a better sales process where you say, as much as I would love to be able to quote you directly over the phone, I know that it completely depends, and here's why. And so I'm not trying to, say like, hey, we're going to have to see the pet first. But the truth is that we're going to have to see the pet first because there could be this, or a bunch of other things that we're not even sure about. So I would just wish I could say, hey, it's going to be $75 or, whatever. But the truth is that doesn't serve you and it doesn't serve me. So if it's okay with you, would it be all right if I gathered a little bit of information and we set a time for you to come in? Right? That's way different than I can't tell you over the phone. And so a little bit of training, and I just made that up, right? You could, I'm sure, know what to say on the phone. And just the ability to sell on the phone is just so important. And I can't tell you how, after spending literally hundreds of hours selling things on the phone, that you can develop these scripts that can be duplicated and standardized that really make a difference. If you just let people wing it, they're not going to do well. And it's not their fault. If you think about it too, like when you see famous actors and stuff, when they go off script and they have a microphone in front of them, they'll tend to say really stupid stuff. And on screen, they're really polished, and they are great actors or actresses. And all of a sudden, they have to think on their own. They say things that get them in trouble. And so that's the power of a script. It can make you look amazing, and it can help you to look polished. It doesn't have to be robotic or salesy or pushy, but it gives them the tools that they need to be consistent, which is important for you as a business owner, for sure. The fourth thing that I think that you should spend time on doing is stockpiling content. So think about the most common questions that you have. Think about the most helpful things that you can produce and provide for pet owners. If you can figure out video series or written blog posts or pictures or whatever it is, that's something that can help to provide a quick win to the pet owners. It's going to help to provide a lot more credibility in the eyes of those pet owners, because it just imagine, for example, that I said, hey, if you're running Google Ads, if you check these simple 3 things, it's going to help you to reduce your waste by at least 50%. You're probably wasting a ton of money on AdWords. If you make these 3 simple changes right away, you're going to save a bunch of money. And if you followed those, you would be able to do that. And if you took those steps and you followed that advice, all of a sudden I would have a lot more credibility in your eyes. You'd be like, wow, that was huge. What is the other stuff that I don't even have any clue about, right? And so that's what I think is missing a lot of times in whether it's content or you're trying to get people to give you their email address for, whether it's a newsletter or something. If you can help to provide that pet owner a quick win. And so think about what are their major pain points. Probably brushing teeth is a huge pain point. Trimming nails is a huge pain point. Like things that they are afraid of and they don't want to do, and it's a big hassle for them. Things like changing their dog's diet. They'll get sick and they'll be throwing up everywhere, all over their house, and it'll be a huge mess. Things like that you could help to provide a really simple, easy, quick win for them that would make a big difference and a big impact in their life. And giving away that content in exchange for their contact info, or in exchange for following your page, or things like that, it's really helpful. So stockpiling content, so that when you are busy too, and you don't have time to go out and make new videos or new content, you're able to post something that's new and fresh. And I would say too that just as much as you're able to be interesting and creative and specific also, because if you're not able, or you don't feel like you're a person who's creative or interesting, and I'll tell you, like, I honestly don't feel like I'm a creative or interesting person, but like you're listening to this podcast right now. Why is that? It's because it's specific. It's very, very relevant to something that you're doing. If you're listening and we're now 14 minutes into this podcast, you're like, hey, this is relevant to me, and that's why I'm here. If somebody was a dentist practice owner, they probably wouldn't be listening right now. Or if somebody was into crocheting, they wouldn't be listening right now. So stockpiling that content, so that you have it available and you can use it when you get busy is always a great idea. And I think too, reusing content over and over again in the future is just a wise decision because it helps to get things out and reuse it as much as possible. The last thing is going to be kind of like that's not super helpful, but I'm going to give you something that will be helpful. It's just brainstorming. I guarantee that you have ideas and you know what to do when it comes to your business. And the reason why you have those ideas and you know what to do, but you probably can't think about it, is because you're probably just a little bit too close to the problem. And so I find giving yourself a very huge number and just starting okay, I'm going to sit down here, I'm going to time myself, and for 5 minutes, I'm going to write out 100 ideas to get new clients coming in. And so just start brainstorming or have a group of people do it and come down and refine it. Some of the ideas are going to be awful, but some are going to be amazing. I took Seth Godin's Alt MBA course. It was really awesome. And that's one thing that really was a great lesson of that course, was that you have the ideas and you're able to come up with ideas consistently. We had to do these exercises where we came up with 100 business ideas, and then we had to come up with another 100 business ideas. And it's crazy because you're like, I couldn't think of that many businesses, but all of a sudden you started thinking of all these crazy ideas and just they start flowing. So if you're not sure what to do, force yourself into figuring out the solution by just going through and brainstorming. I like doing that a lot, whether it's marketing ideas, whether it's how to drive new clients in, how to get clients coming in more frequently. And if you're able to incorporate this with your people that are working in your practice as well, it's typically better to do it as a collaborative event, and you just get a lot more ideas. So those are the 5 things that I would suggest. I think they're pretty practical, pretty useful. If you need help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode, and we'll see you on the next one. Be sure to head on over to the Facebook group, the Veterinary Marketing Nerds. We've got over 1,150 people there now. That's pretty cool. So head on over there, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.